What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Clams. I'm Will. As you can tell behind me, incredible day in Key West. If you aren't familiar with the channel and this is your first time, one of the things that I like to do is collect scraps from local fishermen. When they have charters, they come off and they take the fillets, the charters, and they leave behind some of the best parts, which is the collar, the head, the rack. And it is one of my favorite things to cook with. So I'm really lucky in that I live with Aaron Young. If you're not familiar with him, he owns a charter company called Dibs on Bottom Adventures, and he has a YouTube, Key West Waterman. I'm kind of sure that all you guys are familiar with Aaron. Anyway, I just got the text from Aaron. We're coming in, got a couple of groupers. Do you want the heads and collars? Yes, I do. So let's go pick them up. So, one of the reasons that I really like the head and collars is because if you are intimidated about cooking fish at all because you're afraid it'll dry out or, whatever, the head and the collars especially, are like the chicken thigh of the fish as opposed to the fillet, which is the chicken breast. And if you've ever cooked chicken, you know that thighs are more forgiving. And to me, it is a more versatile meat, meaning you can do a lot of other things that you can't do with filet meat because that filet meat will dry out, not be good. So a lot of times with these recipes, I've tried them with filet meat and they're not as good. They're actually bad. So the one we're gonna do today, I don't know how many he has, but he said he had grouper heads for me, so I'm hoping more than one. We are going to make grouper head tamales. And the reason why is because that meat has so much fat and gelatin in it that we can par cook it, pick it, stuff it in the tamales, and then steam our tamales without drying out the meat. And it's something I've wanted to try for a while now, so pretty psyched about this phone call. Look who it is. Working hard.
I'm on my lunch break.
All right. Well, there we go.
Dock groupers.
So we got one black grouper, one red grouper. Red grouper needs to be 20 inches.
Yeah.
20 inches. Black grouper needs to be, hold on, don't ruin it for me, 23.
24.
24.
Who makes a regulation an odd number?
I didn't.
Actually, I wouldn't put it past you.
Yeah, to make it 23. So, like I was saying, the charters took their fillets.
Left the good stuff.
And left behind what I guarantee you, if you picked all that meat and got it out of there, is probably about a pound of meat. And it's going to be perfect for what we're making. Who shot him? Charter or you?
Charter. They actually shot them, yeah. They did good. From Wisconsin.
Nice.
They did great. They had a great first groupers, first muttons. They had a great day.
All right. Well, hey, if you are Aaron's charter and you're out there and you happen upon this, thank you for the leftovers. Now let's take these back to the house. Now, for those of you that don't know what a tamale is, it is cornmeal, which I have up here, finely ground cornmeal, very, very fine. If you go back to my Belize episode, we go to a masa factory, and that's what this is, but you mix it with a fat, which could either be butter, lard, oil, any kind of oil, and some kind of liquid, so water, chicken stock, etc. What we are going to do, I'm going to mix it with lard, which I have somewhere here, but that's not until later. Anyway, you mix the masa, and then you make kind of a paste, almost like a hummus, and you put it inside corn husks. And then inside the masa, you put your protein, and then you steam those, and it makes the most amazing thing that you've ever tasted. So there are a lot of components to it. I'm gonna try to get them all going at once. and hopefully we come up all at the same time. One of the things, so our corn husks, just so that we can wrap them. So that's what they look like. So right now, if I tried to wrap that, it would break into pieces. So the corn husks have to go into water and soak for a little while. So I'm going to fill this up with water. Okay, these are going to get put aside. Let those soak so they get a little bit softer. Now for our sauce for the meat that I'm going to pull from the heads, I have here guajillo chilies. And then I forget what the little chilies are, but these ones are hot. So we want to soften those up. So I have water going. I already parboiled it, so that'll be ready to go in a second. So we're going to pour hot water over these, let these soften up, put them aside. Then we have our beautiful grouper head and rack. So I'm going to take the racks or the spine off of these guys. Let me actually use a knife. So, like I said, you want to mix your masa with some kind of liquid, and you could use chicken stock or water, or what we're going to do is just use the racks. I'm going to throw them into a pot, some water, an onion, some garlic, and we're going to make a really simple fish stock to mix our masa with. Into the pot. Now our heads, I have my oven set at 350 degrees. The head, really not going to do much to it because I'm going to pick it. We're just going to put them on the pan in the oven once that is ready, and I think that is ready. That's preheated, and then we'll get working on everything else. Okay, now to get our broth started, I have my racks inside there. We are going to skin and all throw in one head of garlic split, and then I have a yellow onion. I leave the skins on, it adds flavor and color, but I cut off the roots on all of them because they might have dirt in them. So that skin looks good. Some salt in there. And maybe some celery. Just 2 stalks. Break those up. And now I'm going to fill water just so it's just above everything in there, and then we're going to move it to the heat. Bring it up to a boil, lower it to a simmer, and let this ride for about an hour. In that time, the head should be done, ready to pick, and we'll get started on the sauce. While my stock pot is filling with water, I have the dried chilies here, my boiling water, and we let those sit for a bit. Now while the heads are cooking, the husks are resting, the peppers are softening up, and the stock is now boiling, we're going to make the garnish that's going to go on top of our tamales. So I just have here, it's going to be a pico de gallo, but we're going to do it really rough chop. So I have cherry tomatoes that will just quarter. All right, we have jalapeno. And I always taste a piece just to see if we got a really hot one or not. And yes, we have a very hot one. Holy cow. All right, because that is so hot, I'm gonna take the seeds and the pith out of one side there. Red onion. Some cilantro. And lime juice. Some cracked black pepper. And some garlic salt. All right, we'll put this aside and we'll get started for our fish marinade. Our chilies have been soaking about 15 minutes. So they've softened up a bit. So we're gonna throw those in. You don't have to worry, stems and all, because we are going to strain this. These are my two hot ones. And just a little bit of that water, and then we're going to add a little bit of fresh water. Okay, that should do it. Now a little bit of garlic salt, pepper, adding pepper to peppers, and a little bit of cumin. Give this a blend. So now what we want to do is strain it just to get any skin or anything out of there. So we have our mesh strainer. There you go, we're just left with the skins and seed. Our beautiful, beautiful salsa is in there. Now give this a little taste. See if it needs any salt or seasoning. A little bit of salt. It's got a nice spice to it. It's not over the top. Those guajillo chilies are not, they're a little more sweet and smoky than they are spicy. So this is perfect. Just salt. Salt and just plain salt, not the garlic salt. So if my timing is right, our fish heads should be done. Let's check on them. There we go. We're gonna let these cool down and then pick them. Okay, while our fish heads are cooling, we can pull our broth off of the oven. And we'll put this aside as well to cool down. Holy cow. And now it's okay if this isn't totally cooked through because they're going to get steamed in the tamales. we're just on the head and we have this much meat already. We haven't even gotten to the collar of this fish. Let's do the collar. And like I said, I pulled it a little bit early so that it wasn't cooked all the way through. So you still see some pink meat there. And I want it that way because it's getting put into the steamer again. And we don't want this meat to dry out. But all right, you get the idea. I'm gonna pick through these and pick through the second head, and then we will dress up the meat and make our masa. That's crazy. That's crazy how much meat is in the collars on a grouper. So I'm not going to put any seasoning on the fish directly because our chili sauce has a lot of salt and everything in it, and then we're also going to season the masa. What I am going to add is a little bit of mayo just to make sure that when we're steaming those tamales, this fish doesn't dry out at all. All right, that is our filling. Now let's make the masa. All right, so now for the most important part of the tamale, the masa. We're going to add. So unlike just regular cornmeal, you see how fine this is? It's almost like corn flour. So one of the tricks to really light and fluffy tamales is baking powder. Now we're going to add a little bit of garlic salt, cumin, coriander, and pepper. And now the best way to do this is with your hands so that you can feel the consistency of the masa. So I have here beef tallow. And beef tallow, it's just a fancy name for lard. Now we want this to be kind of crumbly, stick together but kind of crumbly. Then we're going to add our water until it takes on like a hummus consistency. A little bit more. It's about where I want it, where it starts clumping up, but it still crumbles, see? Almost like wet sand. Okay, now a little bit at a time, we will add our fish broth. So it's gonna go basically from a dough into, like I said, a paste, almost like hummus. You could also do this in a mixer, but I like to feel it so that I know the exact consistency. There you go. That's perfect. All right, I'm gonna clean up my hands and then we'll make our tamales. All right, we got our little assembly line here. So these were my husks that were soaking. So they're nice and malleable now. So you put in a spoonful of the masa and a spoonful of our fish into the middle. my hands out of the way so that you can see. And you just fold them up like so, and fold over. And that's it. That's ready for the steamer. So now I just got to make about 50 of those. Let's go. When you see the amount of work that goes into things, you truly then appreciate when you eat them and you know, my gosh, what it took to make this. So again, fold over and fold the bottom. All right, I'm gonna keep going. All right, now I got a little bit of an assembly line going. This is a better system. Also, quick side note, to make your life easier, take a paper towel and dry off the corn husk, and then the masa will stick to it better. Right now, I'm fighting the moisture on there, but I don't want to stop. All right, just a couple more. All right, before we steam our tamales, I'm just gonna make some beans for the side, because what would tamales be without beans? I took out some of the liquid from the beans, and now I'm just adding a bit of water. We're gonna do garlic salt and smoked paprika and a little bit of cumin. And really, all I'm going to do is mash up those beans until I get the consistency of refried beans. So I won't torture you guys with this, but you get the idea. We're just going to keep mashing these until it's a paste, and they are done. And then we'll put our tamales in the steamer. All right, the whisk wasn't cutting it, so I moved on to a pint glass, just to crush all those beans up. But that's about the consistency we're looking for. Alright, steamer's steaming. And now the trick is to get these to stand upright. I think we might pull this off. There we go. All right. Almost, almost. Okay. See you in about 30 minutes. All right, I let them go for 40 minutes. Oop. Might have to just... Holy smokes. So it's important too, after you pull them out, to let them cool for about 10 minutes so that the masa completely firms up. Because right now it's still hot, and if you go to pull the husks off, they will fall apart. If we did this right, they should just peel right off. And that's why you want to let them cool. Ooh. That is perfection. That is so good. Alright, let's do. I could not be happier with that. The masa set up perfectly. But it is very important. Look at that. That is perfect. It's very important to let them sit and cool. Then for the beans, this is just queso fresco, chopped white onion, and some chopped scallions. And then we have our pico that we made earlier. There you have it. All right. So we have grouper, head and collar and cheeks, tamales, and then refried beans.
Oh man.
And then, there's also, well, see if you need it. I don't think it does. There's also more hot sauce, homemade hot sauce.
Ooh.
But I don't think...
Texture is perfect.
I know, they came out.
And I'm from Texas, so I can say all these things.
I was worried because when I first took them out, they were still mushy, but you have to let them rest.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
The filling is perfect.
The masa is still creamy. It's firm, but it's set up perfectly. It really did.
Oh my gosh, this is so good.
Do you want more hot sauce?
No, this is perfect.
What? All right. There we go. All right. So my point in all of this, in this drawn out episode and talking about it so much, is that those two fish were literally sitting on the dock. And had I not come to collect them, they would have been thrown into the tarpon or thrown out. That I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're eating 6 tamales, and I have 7 more. And I probably could have stuffed them a little bit less and made even more tamales. But it's amazing. It was like 2 pounds of meat that would have gotten thrown out. And this is... And you couldn't do this with filet.
No.
You wouldn't be able to.
No.
It wouldn't. No, it would dry out.
No, this is perfect.
Yes.
This is perfect.
All right, and I'm going to see who's paying attention and who's watching to the end. So I just made these hats. I have a limited number of them. Email me, cookingwithclams@gmail.com, to find out how to get one, and I'll give you the address. I'm going to do $30 on them. They're silk screened, hand silk screened, they're waterproof, and it's the other kind of hat that I wear all the time in my videos. So I finally got my own made. So if you did stick it out to the end, you'll be one of the lucky 20 that can get a hat.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The loyal ones will get them.
I'm going to get the hot sauce because I feel like you should try it, just to try it. I mean, it's mixed in the middle.
Is there not more in there already?
There is, but
Oh.
it's just even better.
I'm down for more.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. If you like this one, hit like, hit subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.